again, welcome back. Here we are to continue talking about React and working on our weather app. I said we were going to start the loading the data, but then I realized, there's still a little bit more we can do to improve the code that we have here so far. And I realized that this label and input arrangement, while it works well, this is a good candidate to turn into a component, right? So instead of having all of this code here, maybe we can shorten this code and wrap all this up into a separate component, right? So let's do that here, because that's actually a good step. It kind of looks to the future, and our future self will thank us for doing that, as our app gets more complicated, right? So let's try that out. I'm going to make a brand new file, and I'm going to save it into my source folder and call it radiobutton.js. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function in here called radiobutton, and we'll export default radiobutton. Okay, so this is our component, and it will take in some props. And then it will return some JSX. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to go back to weather here, and I'm going to copy one of the radio buttons. So I'm going to copy all this code here. And so one of the things that this is going to do for us is, if we decided we needed to change something with the way this radio button worked, we would have to make the change in 3 locations, right? If I wrap all this code into this radio button component, then if I need to make a change to how it works, then I can just do it all in one place, and that changes all the radio buttons in my app, right? It doesn't fix everything, but it will be like a little bit of help down the road. Okay, so we're going to paste this, and then we're going to have a few of these red underlines telling us that some things are missing, right? So we have a couple features here that we need to set. So first of all, the label for the radio button. So we can pass that in as a prop. So I'll deconstruct my props here, right? So let's do it this way. This is kind of the best way, right? Just as a side note, you can actually deconstruct the props up here too if you want. So you could do this, right? If I passed in a prop called label and name, and you could put those in here. I'm going to just do it on the next line though, because it'll be a little bit, this gets a little crowded if there's a lot of props, right? So this is kind of better if you have a long list. So I'm going to say label and name. So label is going to be the value here, and name is going to be the value here. Okay, so that'll allow us to put any label on the radio button and to make groups with different names. So first of all, let's put the label in here. So I'll put the curly brackets, and I'll use the variable name label here. Okay, so now rather than just always saying metric, this can say whatever we pass in. And then this, where it says unit right here, is going to be the name. Okay, so I've got the name now. And then checked right here, why don't we just figure out whether the radio button is checked or not outside of the radio button. So maybe we'll just put checked here like this, and then we can just put the checked property there. So if we pass in true, then this radio button will be activated, and if we pass in a false for this, it'll not be activated. Okay? And then last, when you click on it, we're going to call a function, but that function will come from outside. So we'll pass it in as a prop. I'm just going to call it onChange, just like the one down here. And then we can just take that variable and put it here like this. So now clicking on the button will activate onChange, and it'll call this onChange function for us. Okay? So I think that that's a good setup. And then now if you wanted to have a style sheet just for the radio button and the label, then we could link to that style sheet here, and it would be self-contained, right? So that's kind of nice for us. So anyway, so our radio button is done. Let's go on to our weather JS, right? And our weather component. And I'm going to import, okay, so we'll do it this way. Let's import radio button from radio button, okay? And now what I want to do is I want to replace these inputs down here with a label, right? So let's kind of watch what we're going to do here, right? I'm going to do a radio button. Oops. And my radio button is going to have a label, and this first one is going to be called metric, and then it's going to have a name, and the name is going to be unit, and then it's going to have a checked property, right? And so the checked property is going to be this thing, right? Whatever this says. So I can actually just copy that, and we can put that here, right? So this will work the same as the other one. Oh yeah, so now I have two metrics right here, right? Oh, it's kind of working already, right? So we should also include the set unit here. So I'm going to set on change equal to, and then actually, you know, we can just copy this thing again, right? There you go, right? So I'm going to use this radio button now for the metric, right? So that's like a little bit simplified from what we had before. And then I'll get rid of these two guys right here. So not a huge change, right? But a little bit of an improvement. And maybe I'll copy this radio button and paste it here. And then instead of metric, this one will be imperial, and name will be unit, but we're only checked if the value is imperial, and then when you click it, we're going to set the value to imperial, okay? And then we can copy that again, and the third one will be standard, name is unit, and we're checked when the unit is standard, and we're going to set the unit to standard when we're clicked, or when we change. There we go. So that looks a lot nicer there, right? A little bit fewer lines of code, a little cleaner. And when I click on this, you can see that it activates this, it works on there, and we're in a pretty good spot going forward, okay? And again, like I said, you know, if I wanted to style this now, I can just go to this one component, I could add a style sheet, and then I could work on styling the radio button inside here, right? And so these styles would be separate from the rest of my project too. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope that that was interesting. And now in the next video, we'll start working on getting the weather loaded, unless I think of some other little feature to add, but I think we're in a pretty good spot to go forward right now, okay? Thanks for watching.